Welcome to On the Chain.
But anyway, we got a lot to cover. There's a lot of good stuff. I want to start with Warren Davidson. We got two things, and we got something from the hearing, but I wanted to play this one. Actually, maybe, Jeff, we should probably play the hearing first. Let's do that. I think Warren Davidson's the one that sponsored the bill for custody, self-custody.
Was that? Yeah, I think he co-sponsored.
I think so, yeah.
Really seems to be one of the big things here. Clearly, they didn't have a way to reconcile.
Yeah, self-custody.
Custody really seems to be one of the big things here. Clearly, they didn't have a way to reconcile custody on behalf of their customers. But sometimes when people were saying, boy, you know, I don't know about this. Maybe I'm going to take my funds out. Let's say somebody bought Bitcoin and now they want to exit with custody of Bitcoin and have self-custody. Is that the point in time when FTX or some combination of these entities acquired the Bitcoin so that they could deliver what the customer was requesting?
Well, there's a certain amount of liquidity at a point in time. I think the problem happened when there was effectively a run on the bank and there was just less assets there than the depositors effectively would require to be drawn out. Underscoring that is a commingling of those assets even amongst the customers themselves. So it's just really one pot of crypto, if you will.
Right. Okay. So no control, no custody. And the only real safeguard the individual consumer had as this was unwinding was the hope that they could somehow be one of the lucky people that decided to say, I'm going to take possession and self-custody my own digital asset. Those people, if they've exited and they have custody of the assets, are their assets now safe?
Well, you're exactly on point. I mean, if we could all be as lucky as the Bahamian customers who got the money out.
All right. Thank you. My time's expired.
Did you hear that, Jeff?
I heard
Did you hear how subtle that was?
That was very subtle.
Yeah. So the Bahamian customers were able to get theirs out because that was Sam's ticket to ride, if you will, right? It was like, look, I will camp out in the Bahamas. And the reason they couldn't arrest him is because no Bahamians were affected by it. That was that was the first statement that came out of the Bahamas, which was no Bahamians were affected because it sounds like they got their funds out. All the Bahamian, they had apparently decent enough records, Jeff, to know who lived in the Bahamas and who could get their funds out. And like, well, I guess nobody in the Bahamas was harmed. Okay. It's just, I mean, so was the record keeping good? Was the record keeping not good? I love how Warren Davidson set him up that. Now, if you guys know Mr. Raid right here, this guy here he was the one that stepped in on the Enron debacle 20 years ago. Okay, let's listen in this. This was him from the hearing. This was him on broadcast TV.
Collateral damage for this fraud is going to be huge.
Yeah.
And when you look down to it, it really is as simple as custody. They never took possession of the things that they said they were putting in your account. And that is blatant fraud. And then when people would say, well, I want to redeem it, I want to get off, that's when they would buy the assets. And a lot of these assets, there's just not enough volume to provide immediate liquidity for those demands once there's a surge.
I had to tell you that the name of this show is on point because
Wake Up America.
Wake up, America. Wake up, Gensler. Wake up, Congress. Wake up, resident in the White House. Everybody just wake up. So yeah, but this is what's amazing. How can this not have been fraud, Jeff?
Dude,
how can it not have been fraud?
It's so fraud.
In other words,
from every level, it was fraud.
A regular exchange, you purchase the crypto goes into a wallet that you have access to. That's not what happened, right, Jeff?
Well, the biggest issue is that, we already have laws on the books that deal with this kind of guy, with these types of events. SBF didn't run this alone. He's not some strategic genius. He might be a mathematician genius. Maybe there's no way he orchestrated and built this company on his own. Like we said before, it looks like based on some of the information that's been dripping out, it looks like his parents were somehow involved. It looks like other people were involved as they were funneling money over to politicians and putting it into other people's names so that they didn't hit the max numbers, the max donation amounts. So they were doing all sorts of things. It looks like Gary Gensler, based on some of the information, it could be speculation, but some of the details coming out that he's covering things up for him. There's a lot of questions, a lot of concern. Tom Emmer has been hammering the SEC. I think we have some video clip on that as well.
We do.
Overall, it's been crazy.
Let's look at Patrick McHenry. Listen in.
Yes.
By the way, Jeff, who can rock a bow tie better than Patrick McHenry? I'll be honest with you. If I put a bow tie on, I just look like a clown. You put the red nose and and I look like a clown. For some reason, Patrick McHenry looks regal. He looks dashing. He rocks that bow tie well. Let's check him out here.
Congressman, wouldn't it be pretty easy to change the rules so that the SEC could protect investor interest in this? I mean, that's what they were created for. Isn't there a way to just say, yes, they can make sure that investors aren't being defrauded? Can't Congress fairly simply do that?
They were created for.
Yes, and because the Securities Exchange Commission has failed to do that, we have to step in. Congress has to step in.
Right.
What we've seen under the Gensler regime is he said, come on in and talk to me. Their reference from the Securities Exchange Commission is they refer to FTX as a unregulated crypto exchange. Well, there is no means to be a regulated crypto exchange here in the United States. There is no law that creates that structure, nor any regulation from the SEC. The one decision that Gary Gensler's made that's had an impact today is a lack of custody regulation for digital assets. And the SEC has made a proactive decision on custody that is problematic for consumers. I think we have to highlight that over a period of time and a number of hearings to come in order to get clarity and build out a solid regulatory regime, and force of law.
That's huge, man.
All right, let's look at another one. We got a couple other videos to look at here, but let's look at this one here. Let's take a look at Tom Emmer. Tom Emmer is no joke.
Where's XRP?
Let's look at this.
Had more meetings with FTX than anyone else in the crypto industry. We understand that what was being negotiated was a framework for digital asset exchange registration and token registration with the SEC that would benefit both parties. It would expand the SEC's jurisdiction in exchange for the SEC's preferential treatment of FTX over other industry participants. We understand there was a lot of activity to move this idea forward, including the circulation of draft short-form disclosures that would enable filers to get tokens listed on this newly formed bespoke exchange. Mr. Ray, I know you're handicapped with the information you currently have obtained, but Chair Gensler refuses to answer our questions or testify before this committee. Will you commit to sharing with this committee any internal documents you come across regarding communication between FTX and Mr. Gensler or others at the SEC?
We'll fully cooperate, with the committee and the regulatory authorities.
Somebody wake him up, please.
Again, specifically, I just want copies. This committee will want copies of those communications to the extent they exist.
We can certainly work with your staff.
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff. I'll tell you what. So some.
Yeah, Jeff. I'm just gonna touch it and let you know that we'll get that at some point. As soon as I wake up from my nap. I mean, I know it's a long hearing, Jeff, but come on, man. This guy said, "Yeah, we can do that." And he's like, "No, I want to."
Fired up, and this guy's like, "Oh man, I've been at
he's
this."
Like specific copies. Look at, and Tom Emmer is spitting bullets. He's like shooting daggers out of his mouth.
On fire.
Here we go. Right, let's listen to this again.
We'll fully cooperate.
With what's your name again? What is it?
We'll just fully cooperate. Just copies.
Yeah, just the thing, right? You know the thing.
Drop the hammer. You know that thing.
With respect to our investigation.
Again, specifically, I just want copies.
Specifically, I want copies, dude. Are you listening to me? I think Emmer would go over there and just shake him. Like he just shakes someone and their head like flies back like that. I think he wants to be shook. He's like, dude, I want copies.
Copies that this committee will want copies of those communications.
He intends to have it.
To the extent they exist.
We can certainly work with your staff to get you what you need.
Yeah,
thank you.
I was sure.
We'll work through it and we'll get what it is.
Yeah,
that's all it's going to be. It's just so bizarro.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.